guy labeled as the very best in the country.
You know, he's doing really good. You know, you have, after the season, you know, you have to obviously address the fact that, hey, what do we need to improve here? And the number one thing that we've talked about since that time is you know, he's coming into the 2019 season in a totally different light. You know, last year coming into the season, you know, people knew about him because of his recruitment and his high profile status in the recruiting realms, but nobody saw him play in the collegiate level. So, and then wasn't a starter. So, you know, and then he proved himself as the season went on, and now it's a situation where the expectations are so high. So, my theme for him is just continue to be who you are. Don't change. Keep it simple. That's one thing that, you know, we went through in the spring. You know, I've had this before where guys that have mastered an offense and have learned the offense and really understand it sometimes try to do too much, and he tried to do too much the first part of spring. He tried to look at too many things, you know, and he was still doing some really good stuff, but that was something that he needed to improve on is, hey, let's continue to keep it simple and trust the system. And so, you know, he did that for that second half of spring and did a great job. And, you know, we always talk about leadership, and leadership is something that's so important to every team. And he's a guy that needs to take it to the next step. Now he's in control of this offense. He is the starter, obviously, and so he's a guy that needs to grab the bull by the horns and be that leader and take it to another level. You know, and that's what I encourage all my quarterbacks to do. They're the next year. You know, they got to do something different. And then managing situations is something that we talked about. You know, there's a lot of situations that happened last year that he did a great job of managing, but there's a few times where he could have managed it better, and just being ready for those situations when they come about. You know, that was something as well. And then fundamentally, footwork in the pocket can be more consistent. Sometimes he would drift, you know, to the left or to the right and really didn't need to. And so just continuing to be very, very consistent with his footwork in the pocket.
Is that footwork to be better so he can get away from potential sack, or be better to set for a quick release?
More of staying in the pocket, staying in that pocket so that he can set and make those throws down the field. You know, those tackles have a tough job, you know, to keep that integrity of the pocket. And Trevor just needs to do a great job of making sure he stays inside those pocket areas. And you know, for the most part, he did a great job of that. But there were some times where he would drift into the area where the tackle was, and he can always improve on that.
Were you surprised that a guy who seems to have a very laid-back, calm, and mature demeanor was pressing a little bit early in spring? Did that surprise you?
Not necessarily, because I knew this has happened to guys that I've coached in the past, guys that have mastered it, you know, and they just want to do too much, that's all. And then, you know, you got the expectations, and you want to go prove to everybody that you know, you're the best out there, you know, and so he has those expectations, but he does, you mentioned it, I mean, the poise that he has is incredible. For him to be in the situations that he's been in at a young age and to maintain that poise is very difficult to do. And that's just a God-given talent that is very, very special. Deshaun had the same thing as far as the poise, and that's something that is very important to have as a quarterback.
Talk about poise. How fortunate you guys have been to have Trevor come in behind Deshaun? It seems like you have no two better guys to handle kind of the off-the-field attention, the superstar that they both game. How fortunate you guys have been to have the demeanor to handle that?
Well, very fortunate. I mean, we talk about it all the time. As a quarterback here, yet you are the face of the program, and that's not just being on the field. That's being off the field. And obviously Deshaun did an excellent job of that, of doing what he's supposed to do off the field. No issues there, and just being a team guy. And there's no doubt that Trevor noticed that whenever Deshaun was here. So it helps in recruiting. I mean, it helps in the fact that, you know, you get to go sell that to the recruits out there. And Trevor's done the same thing. You know, he's done a great job of not just being a team guy on the field, but off the field as well. Everybody on this team respects him a ton and trusts him, and really, he's got a lot of friends, obviously, on the team in a lot of different position groups.
seeing something live versus on tape is different. How much fun was it when you came back and watched the tape of the national championship game? And was there one play, two plays that you kind of smiled to yourself, or went and got another coach, was like, look at this?
Yeah. It really was a couple weeks after the game that I finally got to sit down and watch the whole version and especially the TV copy, you know. It was really neat. It was neat to just think about all the plays that were called and think about the explosiveness that we had against Alabama and young guys making big plays, you know. Everybody talks about the one play that Trevor threw to Justin on the corner route and the one-arm catch, and what an incredible catch that was for Justin. But just to watch those guys complement each other, whether it be in the run game or the pass game, was just so impressive. And then for me, the neatest thing was to watch the last drive of the game. I mean, just being able to take 10 minutes off the clock. Longest drive, we all know, longest drive in Clemson history, and to do it against a defense like that, it was just an awesome feeling. And I think every one of those plays was a run play, and it just shows our guys finishing and then finishing down there on the 6 or 5 yard line and running the clock out. So that was a really cool drive to watch. And to see the excitement on the sidelines and from the coaches and from the players.
Now that you've had a full spring with Tyson, you kind of know what you're working with. What is the trajectory for him right now?
Well, I'm very pleased with Tyson. You know, like a lot of freshmen when they come in the spring, they have to try to learn the offense on their own before we start spring practice, because we're not allowed to meet with them until spring ball starts. So he was swimming a lot this spring, trying to keep his head above water and just try to learn the offense as fast as possible, which is typical. But his improvement from day 1 of spring to day 15 was drastic, and that was very exciting for me to watch. You know, we knew he has the talent to do it. Athletically, very good athlete, fast, elusive, and then he just became more and more confident throughout the spring, which that's what happens. You know, in the beginning of spring, he was throwing the ball all over the place. You know, very inaccurate. And then whenever a guy learns the offense and becomes more and more confident with it and gets more and more experience, he calms down and can throw the ball a lot better. And that's what he did in the spring. So, and then like I said, the spring game, I was impressed with his poise factor. You know, he didn't play in front of more than 500 people before. And so we went into the spring game and played in front of whatever it was, 60,000 people. And so I was very pleased. And he has a bright future. I mean, he just like all the quarterbacks, as far as just take one day at a time, and things will happen how they're supposed to happen if you just control what you can control and focus on being the best Tyson you can be. And that's what I continue to tell him. And he's gained 20 pounds since he's been here. So he's 220. Matter of fact, I think he was 222 when I looked at the chart yesterday. So he's working. And he's going to be ready. So I'm just excited about his progress.
As a coach, how do you avoid the grind of training camp? And do you break it almost down into segments? I know that everything institutionally is organized for every minute of meeting, practice, there's value and everything. But the players go through the grind, but you've got to be able to see progress, and you're going to be looking for that.
Yeah.
Do you kind of have an overall view that you take, because every day that goes by is one day closer?
Sure. Well, it starts in the quarterback room. It starts with our goals that we set. You know, we set goals for preseason. We set goals throughout the year, but one of our times is just the preseason camp. So all of August, let's set goals. Each guy writes down their goals, and we talk about them all the time. And you kind of just said it. I want to see progress. I want to see guys really reaching for those goals. And we talk about the grind. You talk about embracing the grind and not counting the days, but making the days count. Things like that. And then I really believe that preseason camp is not all just for football. It's for a group or a segment or a whole team to just really unify and come together. And so we talk about a lot of things in our quarterback meetings, and it's not just always about football. It's about getting to know each other. Each guy will go around and tell the other guys something that maybe we might not know already. And so we get to know each other, and we gain that respect for each other, and we develop those relationships. And that helps us go through the grind of camp, just so that it's not always about football. And I think Coach Sweeney does an excellent job of breaking up the monotony of camp. We take a trip to the reserve, and we go, just take a break here and there. He gives us a weekend off during preseason, which we did last year for the first time, which is awesome. I mean, it's awesome. These guys get to go refuel and kind of take a step back and take a deep breath and then just get ready for the season. So all those things kind of combined, I think, help our guys get through the grind and get prepared for it.
Brandon, is it difficult to find things for Trevor to get better at, or